Certain paint colors definitely trigger physical and emotional reactions in your house guests, but especially in home buyers. Certain shades can turn them off to your whole house, and that's not good when you're trying to get an offer, or even if you want your guests to feel comfortable. In this video, I'm going to explain what the buyer is actually feeling, thinking, and how they're reacting to your paint colors. These are the colors that make them feel uneasy, even if they don't know why. And when they feel uneasy, they're probably not buying. When you walk into a house, you either feel embraced and warm and at peace, or that something is just off.
Something's off.
So let's begin with what bold colors do. Bold paint triggers subconscious stress, a kind of suspicion, or what's this color hiding? And also mental math, how much work is this going to be? They're not rejecting the color, they're rejecting the effort. So let's start with the bold of the bright yellows. You'd think these would be uplifting, but they actually look really harsh under natural light, and bright yellows look cheap or dated very fast. They amplify flaws like cracks and shadows and uneven walls, and bonus, they photograph terribly online. So what's the buyer reaction? Something just feels off here. On the other hand, soft yellows actually do create an uplifting sense of warmth and happiness. The second group are the general oranges like pumpkin and rust and terracotta. This group is unique because they're considered to be polarizing, so there's a split reaction. Some people feel warmth and creativity, but they make a lot of other people feel agitated and restless. So these shades can signal urgency and stress and also raise the heart rate. And in real estate design, anything that makes people feel something intensely is considered to be risky. Some designers might say that if a visitor actually notices the paint color, it's already a problem. Now, I don't entirely agree with that. Some people walk in and compliment your colors right away, but generally, paint should create a background vibe and almost disappear, not introduce itself. And these shades are especially overwhelming in large areas like living rooms, kitchens, and hallways. So what's the buyer thinking? They're thinking that the whole house needs updating is what they're thinking. All right, let's talk about the shades of navy. Now, blue is the #1 paint color in the world, but navy is trendy for Instagram, not necessarily for resale. It can sometimes work nicely as an accent, but not as a commitment, and they make rooms feel colder and less inviting. It's like seeing someone in a pretty dress that looks good on them, but you never wear it yourself. But the buyer's thinking, I like it, but I change it if I lived here. So that's a hesitation, and that hesitation matters. Also, a lot of designers think navy's overused. So I happen to love the combination of navy and white, but when I use it, I balance it out a lot with white, so it's not too heavy. And navy paint has to be applied absolutely flawlessly. Okay, so before I get to the next colors, please do take a moment and hit subscribe. And if you're a homeowner, I made a free checklist for you that covers all the ways to protect and increase your home's value, whether you're selling or not. So that's linked down below in the description, so check that out for free. Okay, next, let's talk about intense or brighter greens. Buyers often disengage from these shades because they're overstimulating, but also they convey a sort of a temporary feel, not a permanent one. They're usually associated with kids' rooms or gyms. So what's the buyer thinking? This whole room needs to be redesigned, and now they are mentally subtracting money from their offer, if they're making one. Now on the flip side, neutral greens like a soft sage are great because they're associated with nature and renewal. They're actually being talked about as the new neutrals because they can give a calming, refreshing, and rejuvenating feel and promote a sense of balance and harmony. The fifth group are the eggplants or deep purples. Now these colors send a message of extreme personal taste. There's a theatrical or theme-based feel, and it's really hard to mentally neutralize them. So what's the buyer reaction? This house is someone else's, meaning the buyer can't see themselves living there. And if your home is on the market, the whole point of doing showings or open houses is so that a buyer can envision a life there. If they can't do that, they're not making an offer. Okay, next up, any of the bolder reds. How do they affect a visitor or home buyer? They immediately raise the heart rate and boost stress. The color feels aggressive and emotionally loud, and they also make rooms feel smaller and hotter. So what's going through their mind? What's the buyer thinking? Naturally, I'd have to repaint immediately, which means high cost and effort, even if the rest of the house is perfect. The next one can sometimes be sexy and even hip for you, but not really for buyers, and that's flat black, especially on walls. Flat black scares buyers because it absorbs light, it makes rooms feel smaller and claustrophobic, and it shows dust, scuffs, and fingerprints instantly. So the buyer's definitely thinking this feels dark, but what they're really thinking is this is expensive and difficult to cover properly, even if I'm willing to paint over it. So if you have a flat black in your home, it's at least critical to balance it with light accents around it in the window treatments or furniture to act as a contrast to the dark. Next up, the chocolate or darker browns. So to buyers, it feels heavy and dated, it drains light, and they also make your ceilings feel lower. It's extremely common for buyers, and I can tell you this, to walk away from a house for that one reason alone, if they think the ceilings feel too low. It makes the whole house feel smaller than it really is. But the house didn't shrink, the paint did. Okay, next are the beiges with yellow or pink undertones. Now these shades can look dirty and dated in modern light. It sort of reads, this old house, even if it was just painted last year, the buyer's thinking it needs freshening up. They can also clash with gray or white finishes. I also want to talk about multiple colors in one house or one floor. You don't have to paint the whole first floor one color. That can be boring. But too many colors on one floor results in visual chaos. It feels like too many decisions, and sometimes it signals a DIY experimentation. So if you've ever walked through a new construction home, like the sales model home, you'll see that the builder almost always uses one color throughout. That's because they want the buyer to see the house without distraction. Neutral sells because it removes resistance. When you have too many colors, the buyer's definitely overwhelmed and thinking, this is a lot, and you're getting either a low offer or no offers. Also, a new trend that is hot right now, but won't stay that way in my opinion, because they are extremely taste specific, are called color capping and color drenching. So color drenching paints an entire room, walls, trim, ceiling, even radiators, in the exact same color for a seamless, immersive look that can make small rooms feel bigger and large rooms feel cozier. Color capping is a process that uses different tones, lighter to darker shades, of the same color family on the same wall. It focuses the darker shades on the ceiling and upper walls to create kind of a capped effect. So while these trends might make you happy, they're definitely risky when it comes to selling your home. Remember, buyers don't hate bold colors or even too many colors. They hate work. So every strong color adds mental friction in the buyer's mind. And mental friction blocks out an emotional connection, which signals time and money. And buyers don't take kindly to either one of those. So thanks for watching again, and please do hit subscribe before you go, and as well as the link for the pre-home value guide below. And check out my video on the hot paint colors for 2026, and I'll see you next time.